She told me it's a long process. But when it begins to call you, on the first years, you begin to work. There's a lot of money coming, and then there's a time it stops. It wants you to upgrade, and then things will gonna go better again. The people that I see on YouTube and stuff who are rich Sangomas and all of that, they have to do Noktwala. It's not only which they're forcing it to say they have to do Noktwala. It's a different.
Icebreakers immediately, Kimberley or Bloemfontein?
I'd say Bloemfontein.
Okay, if you are dying, someone needs to save your life. Would you call a pastor or you call a Sangoma?
I'd call a pastor.
Kagiso or Soweto, which one is your better kasi?
It's Kagiso.
Botswana or Swaziland?
I'd say Botswana.
Tzaneen or Middleburg?
Middleburg.
Pastor Chris or Pastor Bushiri?
Pastor Chris.
Mabopane or Atteridgeville?
Mabopane.
Old or New Testament?
I think the old is more. Should I express? Or?
Yes, you can.
I feel that the old is it's more richer in that you cannot understand the old, the new.
Okay.
The old has got a lot of mysteries and
yes.
kind of a lot of it's quite interesting. So
which one do you want to go for?
Old.
Old.
Yes.
Thank you. Strapper or flat chest? Do you want me to explain?
Strapper.
Strapper is a lady that doesn't have a appetizing bum. Flat chest. Yeah. Okay. So we turn the cleavage. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm a piano or house music.
Deep house is better.
Deep house is better.
It's fine. The answer is fine.
Yeah, if you have to take one.
Yeah,
okay.
Because I think there's also deep house in it.
Yes. Sharp. TB Joshua or Pastor Mboro?
TB Joshua.
Flat tummy or good legs?
Oh, flat tummy or good legs.
Yes.
Flat tummy or good legs. So one of them.
Yes, one of them.
Good legs.
Good legs. Beautiful legs.
Yes.
Okay. Cape Town or Durban?
Durban. That's my wife's home.
Yeah?
Durban, my wife's home.
All right, sharp. Mamelodi or Sosha?
Nguve. Mamelodi.
Mamelodi. All right, sharp. I want you to give me your name, say name, where you from, like in a particular area where you from.
Currently.
No, it doesn't. Wherever you feel, you could be current or you could be where you come from, whatever you call home, and then we'll start.
Name is Nicholas Mbanjwa.
Okay.
I'm actually from Kagiso. Yes.
Where in Kagiso?
It's in currently extension 9.
Okay, you are from extension 9 in Kagiso.
Yes. Currently.
All right, sharp. I know people from Kagiso. All right, sharp. Nick, let's start. You wrote a book. Tell me the name of your book, and then so they'll be Googling it while we proceed. Tell me the name of your book, and then you tell me your life story as you grew up. Yeah.
My book is Hearing God's Voice in Dreams. It actually came as a result in that firstly before I lived in Kagiso, I lived in a place called Swaneville. That is where I lived with my mother.
Swaneville, Sonderville?
Swaneville.
Swaneville. Where is it?
It's actually more like 5 kilometers away from Kagiso.
Oh,
5,
okay.
7, something like
all right,
that.
Sure.
Yes. So this is where I grew up, being a boy, because I came from Eastern Cape,
yes.
I think around 99, 2000,
yes.
to continue studying the side.
Yes.
So the reason why I wrote the book was because it was sparked by something that happened in Swaneville.
Okay.
This is 2011, which is the 26th of November. It was on a Saturday. Okay. Never forget the day.
How old were you then?
I think I must have been 19 years by then.
19, okay, sure.
I was 19 years. So what had happened was that I got saved. I accepted Jesus into my life, coming from a history of Sangomas.
Yes.
So with that...
Explain it a bit. So you were, at 19, you were already Umzalwan. At 19.
At 19, I was already Umzalwan.
Yes, and
So-
you accepted Jesus
when I was 17.
when you were 17.
So
Oh, no, I
17
understand.
It's 2009.
Okay, sharp.
I accepted Jesus on the 29th of March.
Okay.
This is 17 years of age.
All right, sure.
That is the time. So it happens with when I accepted Jesus, it is when I was 14 years, I did something, they did something to me called Imvuma kufa. It's more like the woman who was helping me in these things of Sangomas, she was close to my heart because she was also an aunt to me.
Okay.
Very powerful woman before she passed on. So what she did was she recognized with the calling it was so heavy upon me. So this thing began at age 12 when it began to identify itself and then all of that, and then it was oppressive. So it kind of
Let me
pulled
understand.
me
So
out of school.
So at 12 years old,
That's when it began.
so you had a spiritual inclination to. So is it a prompt for you to utwase?
It wasn't like that.
Okay.
Great question.
Yes.
How it began with me was that I had a dream. It was the strangest I've ever had.
Okay.
This is on a Saturday.
Yes.
I'm off from school. I'm in primary school. I'm sleeping. So this dream must have started, I'm guessing, around 3 a.m. in the morning. So in this dream, I dream like they are taking my body, me actually, my body out of the bed, and then they are putting me under the water. So when I get under the water, I realize, hey, this is a place. There's a mountain, like there's land, there's grass, everything is alive. It's usually as it is. So there is a hut, it's around.
Yes.
It's the only house that was there that I saw on top of a mountain. But the land is
Green.
it's a normal land like any other land. You could see the mountain, you can see the horizon, the distance, further
Yes.
distance.
Yes.
Yeah. So in this dream, I saw a lot of children. I wasn't only the youngest, I wasn't the only little person there. There were a lot of us. We were only little person there. It was only us children. And then there was a woman, but I could not see her face. So this woman is wearing something, I forgot what it's called, but this thing is like dreads, but they put it in Sangomas, Amanda, and then it has beads, so you cannot see the face. because
Oh,
it
that
covers.
is what, I don't know if your age will do. That is what Mupeme used to wear. You would not know. You would not know who Mupeme is.
Yeah,
Old
so-
school, we know.
But it was a woman, so it
Yes.
was all of us kids. So she was in the process of the dream, she was initiating us. It took the longest because I remember I woke up around 10 a.m. Since more around 3 a.m. in the morning since dreaming this dream. It was the longest dream I've ever had.
So wait, so you're saying from 3 a.m. until, so it's
But
7
when
hours.
I woke up, it was around 10 a.m. I used to sleep.
So it was 7 hours of an active dream.
Of an active dream,
So-
non-stop.
Oh,
Non-stop.
okay.
The longest dream I've ever had in my life. And the funny part is my mother sometimes had a tendency of waking me up when it's around 9:30, to say, hey, wake up. And then because she's an old person, those old people who believed that you shouldn't sleep until the sun rises.
Yes,
on you.
yes, yes.
So she had that. But that day she didn't wake me up. So now here's the interesting part with the dream. In the dream, kids used to be taken out. So bazotu landiwe. And then this was my knowledge in the dream, which is the parents bringing komo. When there's a sinkomo, and then this child will be taken out. So many of them were taken out, but I was one of the few who was never taken out. And until I woke up from the dream, I wasn't taken out. So it began after that, whereby I began to be sick, and I began to experience things that I've never seen
In real life.
In real life.
Also the attachment is, it was as if you were institutionalized in that, and the old lady
Yes.
was chaperoning all the kids.
Yes.
So the
Say a
parents,
woman, not even an old lady, a woman.
a woman.
Maybe
So
50s or
the
40s.
parents,
other kids.
or the next of kins would bring a cow,
Of other
take,
kids.
yes,
And then
would
the
take,
kid
and
would
then
say, "Banban,
yes,
it's your turn now.
Yes.
Your parents have come to
To fetch you. Yes.
And they would release the kid.
Oh,
So that's how the dream was.
All right, I understand.
And then, but I was one of the few. We were so few. I was longing, but they never came for me. And then that's how it ended. After that, that's when it began a long-term problem of like physical
sick.
ailments, and a lot of situations that were extraordinary began to happen. And I mean extraordinary things in my life. But I'd say this, which
Yeah.
is quite interesting. My mother didn't identify this as then, which this began here. My mother says this, I was marked at birth. It's the same thing my father said. He said, no, you were marked at birth. But for me, this was the defining moment. But they would say, which you had a mark from birth, whereby God kind of marked you, which you were going to be something, you know, spiritually you were going to be used. So my father wasn't surprised, my mother wasn't surprised. My father is a person who's a prophet in one of these,
churches.
Yes. So that's some of them. So my father was supposed to have gone through this. So they said to me, my father ran away, my mother as well. So it came heavy upon me. So with all of these, they are distinct. There's Amangoni, you know, and then there's the one I was going for at that time was Amandawa. So Amandawa, more sort of the origin of the people from southern of Zimbabwe. They also find that in Mozambique, the type of ancestral spirit that's reigning in those two dimensions, Zimbabwe and Mozambique, it's actually Ndawa. There's a lot of Sangomas in South Africa who are under such a spirit, Samandawa. So I was going for that one. That was the route that was calling me. It's more embedded into water spirits, the marine spirits, as well as the people in the jungle spirits, you know, forestry stuff. It's aggressive.
Yes. So the Lozi are northwest of Zimbabwe, south of Zambia. I think they are Lozi.
All right.
So is it the same, almost the same spirits as the Ndawa that you're speaking about?
I cannot really say, but okay, there's this word among who use it when they don't say Ndawa, they call it Ilendo. What is this word? They call it this word. What is this? I'll find the word.
Alright, it's fine. You will find it.
Some call it Ndawa, some call it different way.
Okay.
Some call it different, but now I knew it as Ndawa.
Okay.
And even how it was done, the beat, Sangoma Mandawa, it's not quite the same. Mandawa, they go fast. They go fast. And then there's a, you know, more symbolizing cheetah and stuff. It goes fast.
Oh, okay, okay.
So it's not like Amanguni.
Yes.
It's different spirits of Sangoma.
So Amanguni is a spiritual.
Twasa endaweni esifana nabo KZN, and then we also get others coming from such places like they are even Swatini, but Swati has a lot of Ndawas as well. It's mixed.
So tell me, so
Mozambique.
I asked a few, why do people call each other Ugogo, even if they're not Nguni people?
When in terms of the Sangomas?
Yes.
For in my past, you'd find a man called Ugogo because they'd say Uti is a spirit of a.
Yes, but majority of people then will be called Gogos.
Yes.
And then even if the person Kingaka Yamupedi has no relationship with any Nguni person, so they would not be called Gogo. And
it's because the spirit that is actually possessing the person, they say Ugogo, even though it's a woman. Even though it's a man. So what happens is you're given a name. I know it from Indawa. From Mandawa, you're given a name. So from the name, also to Kokubani, with the name that you were given.
Okay. Oh, all right, sure.
So that's how it goes.
All right, you continue with the.
So this is how it began. It began. I was 12.
Yes.
14. It became harder on me. So Umakosi, I will protect her name.
Okay.
With the family and the children as well. So Umakosi was the woman who was in my life. She was more like a mother.
Yes.
You know, you get a person who's like that, who has compassion towards you. It's a blessing. She was a very great woman in that she could see, you know, many people who are saved say, no, Sangomas, the things they say are false. It's not really true.
Yeah.
Because they are very accurate. This woman was so extremely accurate in how she could see things that would unfold in my life. And there was a point where she showed me something that was to happen in the future. My family remembers it. So my point is here saying simply, after that, she said, Amanda Azengamandla. So it came to a point where it was harder, and then I couldn't continue.
Yes.
I was more sick, and then she said, I need Imvuma kufa. But it has to be different in that it doesn't have to be white. So they say white so that it's like Imvuma kufa. That's how Amanda, they begin the initiation process into Twasa, Imvuma kufa. So in there they say, I have to be agreeing. So it's white meaning, put white meaning. They put white. But she said in this condition, it has to be red and white because they are coming with so much anger. So the red to also be there, a little bit of white and red in my beads. So that's when I was
hold it there to understand.
It was a ritual service.
So Sangoma kufa is a ritual that takes you or that welcomes you to your ancestors.
Yes.
Okay.
You're saying to those ancestors,
Yes.
I'm agreeing about.
I'm agreeing.
And then you are beginning the process.
Okay, sharp. So, yeah, I want to understand something.
I don't know others, but
yes,
I wonder.
yes. So if you say as if they came, so you needed ordinarily would be using white, but you came with the red ones, and
because for they came heavily. So she said, when my partner they showed, there has to be red for me because of they came in so much anger, so they needed to be appeased.
I wanted to talk about this animosity between our ancestors and the living people. Why is there always animosity? And whenever you do something, they would say, they will show you. I don't know if you want to explain it now or later.
The thing is, I think we'll talk as we go on, because
Yes.
the thing is, being a person who's saved now, I have a different view. I have a different view from then on.
Okay.
So, but we'll cover it.
We'll cover. Okay, thank you, Sharp.
So, but with that, so they did mention that it was that service and then to put those beads on.
Yes.
Instead of me being better, I became worse. Her concern for me to have done this was that the spirit is so heavy upon me. He didn't want me to finish school, and her concern was that at least I finish school. So that is why actually in short agreement let me do Imvuma kufa earlier, because
so Imvuma kufa earlier, you were buying time. She was buying time.
On our side, and then Pasha bencenga, but it seemed to be worse with nothing.
Yes.
It seemed to be worse. So that's when they said, okay, let rather, and then I will pick it up along the journey, as long as I can just finish school, instead of just dropping out and then working in this. So that's how it works with me. And then this is when now, at 17 years of age, that's when I met Jesus. Now, the woman was helping me passed on. Here's an interesting part. When she passed on, she didn't pass on this side of Swaneville. She traveled all the way to Kokstad, which is close to Mount Elif. There she has a family. And guess what? She didn't go back to him, spiritist mother, the person who actually brought her into this, or the spiritist brother who was still alive, who were there during the time Mangfawa, this Imvuma. Yes. She didn't go to them. These are good Sangomas who are they've got experience in this.
Yes.
She didn't go to them. The most fascinating stuff, she went to her aunts who are actually born again, a family that doesn't allow this. She went to them, and then she lived there 3 months being sick, and then she passed on. Now the sister came, who's a firstborn daughter, who's also a cousin sister to me, and then she tells me, she says, do you know Guti, the day the aunts told her, the day before she actually passed away, it was about 5 p.m. She wanted Jesus, and then she accepted Christ, and then just a few hours later, that's when she passed on. And then it made me understand, for me to be saved, it was
that is
also
the root.
prayer towards the last hours.
Oh, hey, all right. No, let's take a break and drink water. It's too heavy. We shoot the Politically Incorrect podcast from the Digital Photography Studios. They are based in Pretoria. If you need any information, kindly contact them on the provided information. Thank you. So, in other words, what convinced you that what could best heal your spiritual confusion, for a lack of better word, and your physical ailment is for you to, I like the way born again Christians say it, to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior.
I like how you even
okay.
It.
Yes.
For me, it wasn't actually a choice, like to say, now this is what I'm going to do. Now this woman is dead. If she's dead, everything in my life is shattered. I'd have to find another person. But the I wouldn't have the connection I have with this woman.
There was a void.
There was a void.
There was a void. So for you to find her, and she turned this way, you turned with her.
Now she's gone. So I felt lost. Apart from just being spiritually oppressed, sick, and all of that, but I had no direction. So I would say, there came a moment where I battled with suicidal thoughts a lot. It was pretty hard. So what happened is, when I was doing my 9th grade, I went into a specific school. It's called Mandisa Shikega. It's in Mandisa.
Okay.
It's in Mandisa. It's in Kagiso. So I got into that school by mistake. I wasn't supposed to have gone to that school actually, because I was supposed to have gone to Ludirile, which is in Swaneville. But by sequence of events, I happened to be in this school. So being in this school now with no friends but new people, but I had a best friend there along the going. So I have this thing. It's harder, and my life is oppressed. You know, it seemed like.
So wait. So when you say you had
harder, Amabeats, I had Amabeats.
Oh.
Because some schools didn't allow them. So I had to have a shirt and all of that so that people don't see and all of that. Now, what happened was, when I got to this school, I did my 9th grade, and then there's this biology teacher who comes to class and he's introducing himself, and then this man is saying, you know what, I'm teacher so and so, only to find out this gentleman is a pastor, you know. And then when he begins to introduce himself, he says, I'm going to be teaching you biology. Instead of him, because it's that moment whereby we were, I don't know, I forgot this word, but it was an introduction between learners and teachers. So, but we now that the syllabus...
Orientation?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
We hadn't started yet. So he wanted us to just have a moment to chat.
Yes.
And then the first thing he did was the biggest mistake ever. He began to hit against Amadlos, you know. And then that's when now I revolted. I was a leader in my class. I was quite very prominent in terms of leadership.
So he talked bad about Amadlos.
He talked to you know these things, you are lost and all of that. He's a pastor, you know. And then at this moment in my life, these are my people, you know. I have this and I come from this.
Wait, so these ones are clearly seen because you're wearing a short shirt.
You cannot see them. I protect them. Sometimes...
Or you're wearing long sleeves.
But I was very careful.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So when he attacks and then I began to fight back, you know.
Yes.
I had a little bit of background in scriptures, but he could overthrow me with scriptures.
Yes.
Because he was seasoned and he came out with context.
Yes.
And I realized that my background doesn't know anything about context.
Yes.
So I said to my mother, no, I think I'm in a wrong school. Take me out. I have to find another place. This is a wrong school. I cannot be in this place. This guy, apart from this thing, there came a point where this pastor, before he came into his period, I felt oppressed. Deeply oppressed. Now what happened is when he had identified me in this class, he went back to his church, and then Mondays they did prayers, and then they would pray, put my name there and pray that God reveal himself to me. So it was kind of hard, and I wanted to quit school because this guy, man, is too much. You know, I don't know what he's doing to me, you know. So it happened then. But the thing is, the more he attacked Amadlos, he repelled me. Emotionally, I had anger towards him.
Yes.
I didn't want this thing he has. Because of how he actually approached it. But there was a young man in my class, I'm sorry, his name was Tabo. And then Tabo, he said to me, you know, God, there's something in my heart, in my spirit, that says I should give you a specific book. And then he says, I don't know why, but it's in my heart. And it was burning, and then I tried to avoid it, but no. So I said, no, give me that book. I love reading. I love reading. By the time when I was doing the 9th grade, this is the 10th grade now. The 9th grade, I had read a book which was 430 pages, Excalibur by Bernard Cornwell. It was a novel, so I love reading. And then this guy, when he said this, I said, bring the book, and then he forgot it. I think he forgot it the third time. The third time I said, bring the book, and then he came with it. When he came with the book, it was an interesting book, written Demons in the World, by Marriad. When I looked inside the copyright, it was written about 1980, around there, 1980. This guy, must have been a doctor of theology. Took the book, went back home, and then I began to read the book. Before this experience, there's a lady who came because I was doing drama, theater, community theater. I was very good in that. And there's this lady who came and says, you know what, I heard when my director said we need to pray for you because you were sick. And I felt so much compassion for you. And then the lady says, I came and I said, no, this person loves the Lord so much. I loved the Lord, but I didn't know the Lord back then. And then she said that, why don't you pray and say, Lord, if this is the right way, Sangoma, reveal it. And if it's the wrong way, reveal it. And then that was the wisest thing I heard back then. Uspora's the girl. She was new in the class, and then I went back. And then I said, no, man. This lady, she said, she didn't do anything to say, you know, to discredit this thing. She just said, the Lord, pray to the Lord. And then I prayed to the Lord to say, show me the way. And I had forgotten about this. It was about 2 years later now when this is happening. So I read this book, Marriad. This is a missionary in China. And then this guy is speaking about how the people in China were actually affiliated with ancestors and then the idols as well. So this guy is speaking things that they begin to experience, you know, the sicknesses, you know, these and particular headaches, you know, and then the particular oppression in finances. It's what my mother was experiencing, being raised by a single mother. And then I'm like, no, man, this book is talking about me. I'm in South Africa. Though the guy is talking about people in China, but this book is actually talking about me. I'm here in South Africa, and I'm experiencing all these things. And then this guy actually began to show how that our ancestors, all of them that have passed away, they are either in heaven or in hell. There's no excuse to that. It's based on their faith. They are either in heaven or hell. There's nowhere else they can be. So, and then I'm asking myself, then what is it that I'm seeing? And then I realized this is my grandmother coming in a dream. And then this guy began to reveal, this is a spirit that tries to actually put on, masquerades as someone that you know. Because if the devil would come to you right now, you'd be scared in a dream. So he has to use people that you know, the image. But it's not really them, because it's either they're in heaven or in hell. So in this experience, I was convicted to say, no, I'm actually lost. And then there were scriptures that began to show. Deuteronomy, Isaiah that said, anyone who actually goes for the spirit of the dead, he deserves to be actually stoned to death. Back in the Old Testament, the history of Israel. And I was like, no, man.
Deuteronomy what?
Deuteronomy 18. And then there's also Isaiah chapter 8. So it speaks of how when you do these things, you're actually supposed to be stoned to death. And then not only there, but there are volumes of scriptures that begin to support that. And then Ecclesiastes 9, from verse 4 down, it says, the dead have no influence with the living. It says, their life and their memory is gone, you know.
Yes.
And it says, they have no attachment with us. It's Ecclesiastes. So now it comes to say, a person will only understand that if they agree with it, the Bible is God's inspired word. But if they look at the Bible and think, the Bible is only a white man's book, then it's a different thing. Because they would feel a white man is trying to actually sever them away from their ancestors. It's a different thing. So for me, I believe it's an inspired book from God. It convicted me so much. And then without being changed, and then there came a point where there was this particular testimony. The pastor had to find me. This particular testimony was of a lady who grew up. This lady grew up with a mother. But she says in a testimony, she was telling a church, there were video cameras and all of that. I was looking at the video, and she says in the video, which actually, the thing is, I wasn't the child that my mother was raising. I was taken when I was a child, raised under the sea. Man, under the sea, it's where actually Sangomos go, Amanguni, Namandawa. There are people that there. So it contradicted what I believed, this thing. And then the girl says I was taken under the sea, and then she speaks of the things that were done to her and how she was used to do accidents and stuff. And then she says, these things are actually one umbrella. She said that. Sangomas and these things are actually one umbrella. And when she said that, I was like, but it might be true, because of she also, devil worshippers also use the sea, the same sea which is used by Sangomas as well, for Ukwas and all of the Tamanda, where you get all these powers and stuff. The spiritist mother was doing this for me, She actually went under the water. It's a river, huge river, Eastern Cape, which is called Imvuma. She was there 3 days, 3 nights, before she came out. And then she told me, when I'm to put the red one, I'm supposed to be taken there as well. So all of them, have to go through that.
So hold there. So when you say she was there, so I always want to understand this. So when they say someone is going through rite of passage underneath, do they physically mean this person is underneath the water submerged for 3 days?
That is what she was.
So
they saw her. What they did,
yes.
It's when now she moves from being Twasa.
Yes. So that was your spiritual mother who had passed on.
She ran outside the home. So her mind closed off. She wasn't unconscious. She ran. And then boom, into the river. It's a huge river, Imvuma. It crosses all the way from Mount Elif to Mount Frey. Boom, under the water. And then they knew what was happening. So they didn't have a worry.
You call it Umzu? What?
Imvuma. So it was there for 3 days. She was there for 3 days. And then I asked her something.
Yes.
And then she said to me, she laughed. Now she was telling me what I was seeing in the dream. Muti, there's food that you eat. And
underneath,
food, yes.
Underneath the water.
There's mountainous houses. There's horses and cows. And then she laughed. And then I asked her a question. I asked Manje, why born cool? When they call him cool, they swing about that snake that guards the water, which in the Bible we call the principalities. I said, did you see that? I'm cool. And then she said to me, yes, I'm born. Then I said to her, what did she say to you? I said, unfortunately, I didn't have to go through that route when God pulled me out.
So this sounds like, because I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about the thing that you went through. You know what I'm picturing? I'm picturing that scene in Black Panther where John Kani is speaking with the dead. He's the dead himself. He's speaking with the child.
Part 1 or part 2?
I think part 1 and part 1. I think mostly, yes. That's what I'm imagining. So let me understand. So you now and then, do you think it's physically possible for someone to be submerged underwater for 3 days?
It is.
You believe?
As much as I'm a pastor,
yes.
and I believe and I'm saved,
yes.
I'm a child of God, these things happen.
You believe someone
yes.
could be submerged underwater
yes.
in the physical form and come back after 3 days?
Yes, it's
okay.
possible. It's possible, and it happens.
Okay.
There's quite a lot of stories that are out there. So these things are real. They happen. I
okay.
cannot deny them.
So this is a question I asked a lot of religious people. So,
well, in a way, for me, I don't classify myself religious because I believe there's a difference between Christianity and religion. There's a distinction.
Okay, you want to expand it now?
No, you can go.
Okay, because I wanted to ask you that Christians, you have this fear of being bewitched. Where does it come from? And are you not supposed to feel safe in the?
Not for me.
Covered by the blood of Jesus.
Not for me. Not for me.
Okay.
I don't know what's with this new Christianity.
Yes.
I don't know what's with it. But when I got born again in 2017,
yes,
as the lady was speaking, who was actually a devil worshipper from under the water, she said, your healing is in Jesus. That's when I wanted Jesus for the first time in my life. Went to my mother, said, you tried everything, you lost your money, you've spent a lot.
Yeah.
Why don't we try this Jesus? My mother, I thought she was going to object. And she said, let's try it. Then that's how I got saved. Now the thing is this. When I got saved, I met Tobela. Many people know her, Swanevi. She was a woman who was a Sangoma for over 15 years by then. Okay. When she met me, she was there, Imvuma kufa. And then when we meet on the road, yes, that's how we do. Then she did that and then I stood. I said, I'm no longer there. And she said to me, what do you mean? I just said, see. She shook her head and says, I was with Piluzofa.
So she literally told you you're going to die when you met on the road.
She wasn't the first person. They said, it doesn't work, you're going to die. When was that? 2009.
You see that
I'm still alive.
You see that they are not my ancestors. That's a book that what we are watching there. It's called They Are Not My Ancestors.
Yes.
When he left his ancestors to come and join Jesus as his Lord and Savior, they told him he's going to die.
Yeah.
And they said they sent Tikoloshis to him. Yeah. But I just put a clip here where he says it. So, Lo and I, you were threatened with death.
You won't leave. Hey,
so die. It brings back to that question that I said, well. Yes, of witchcraft.
To fear.
And when I said, why are the ancestors of African people always have this animosity against the people that they should be loving? I want to understand that part. I ask everyone.
The lady I led to Christ who lived in the same street, we suffered from the same thing from the years past. She followed me because she was tired. When she saw me, which it's working for me, this thing of salvation, she followed me because she was tired. She said, how can my mother, was it a mother or grandmother, passed away? And then the next thing now, she's bringing accidents around her life. When she said, this person used to love me, why would she do such a thing now?
Yes, this is...
She said, no, this person used
that's
to
exactly, that's exactly why I want to ask people. So, your ancestor loves you. And then they say, if you should listen to Petmo's story. Right. So, he suffered a lot. He lost marriage. He had businesses. Things did not work well because he says he was told by these ancestors that the ancestors are showing him that. So if someone is going through hardships, it's ancestors. So why can't ancestors, if they love you, why can't they just do good of you?
Let me tell you the honest truth. Yes. Sangomas that do it right, When I say right, I don't mean in the Bible form.
Yes.
I mean Sangomas will just go for Utwasa purely. They do suffer. When
who suffers?
She told me
these Sangomas.
My spiritual mother back then, she
yes.
told me, I think what it does is it calls you. I think this is a long process. She told me it's a long process. But when it begins to call you, on the first years, you begin to work. There's a lot of money coming, and then there's a time it stops. It wants you to upgrade, and then things will gonna go better again. The people that I seen on YouTube and stuff who are rich Sangomas and all of that, they have to do Noktwala. It's not only what they're forcing it to say they have to do Noktwala. It's a different thing.
Please explain that.
Explain. In time, Uktwala was a disgrace with Sangoma. There was even a song that was used to song Entombeni when Sangomas meet, when one is 12. But because it used to be a disgrace, you know.
Oh, so
Uktwala, it's when now they begin to put human sacrifices. There's a snake attached to this.
Oh, it explains everything.
A chamber, when now this thing brings people.
Yes.
It brings things. But normally, these things of Sangomas back in the past, it was to the ancestors only. Ancestors and the people and the meat. That is all it was.
So now,
today, now,
so would you call this Sangoma a negative and dark energy?
The whole of it.
Yes.
It was.
So it's not something that is nice.
It isn't.
So
I see a lot of people who want to go in it, and then here's the thing again. They make you look like there's no choice. It's like this is the end of your road. It's either
yes, you're dying.
So then it uses fear. Jesus uses love. It uses fear. It's quite opposite.
I interviewed Richie B. Shout out Richie B. He says when he went to consult. So when he got there with his partner, and he was told you have a car, and then within no time will die before end of this month. And he said, so I mean, he said he was baffled, and then and then they gave him that thing. They said to him, let me just pause here. Ne? I'll pause here and I'll play that smaller than a clip where he talks about him being passing out. So we'll continue after the cut. Thanks.
So my previous relationship.
Yes.
I lost it because of that. And only to find out this person we can go to mama too.
Okay.
Because of I don't believe in Sangomas, I don't believe in church or whatever. When you get there, now I'm telling you secret now.
Yes.
When you get there, sharp, this guy is telling us nonsense. You understand? Hey, you driving? Yes, I'm driving. We're not gonna say fetch a. They want to kill you. When I call you, you're gonna die. Really?
So it's you sitting with your significant other.
Yes, we are together and consulting.
This guy tells you, or do you have a car? You say yes.
Yes,
he says,
I do have a car.
Month end was Saturday. Okay.
Your car is not safe for you.
Yeah.
So when last did you see what? So these guys are psychologists. They can play around with your mind.
Yes.
When last did you go to the graveyard and also forth? To say if you got and also forth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes.
So this is what they do. And I was like, okay, sharp, they give us these things, okay, go and do this. Kapanga this, and then at this date, come back to me, I'll show you what to do.
Okay.
Yeah,
so I wait, get in other words. Okay, sharp.
Then I call my mom, if you have to die. It's a parent no, if you're gonna die. Don't those things they don't go affect them.
Yes, so as you can see, Richie B refused to take an ancestral or a spiritual or a Sangoma instruction because he was certain that if he doesn't follow it, he will die. He didn't. Here he is. He's living a good, normal life. He's a successful podcaster. So it's just what I wanted to say, that it baffles me that like Sangomas, like there's this animosity about them on issues, and you've given us Deuteronomy and Isaiah where it says you must not
Yes.
follow them.
Yes,
But you know what? You know what they say? They say to them, to themselves, you religious people, you are too judgmental, and your Bible says you must not judge people. I don't know what's to judge, by the way.
That's correct.
So you are judgmental, you judge people, but you yourselves are not supposed to judge people because you're not supposed to be judgmental. And your Jesus himself is an ancestor. What do you say to that?
I like the fact that you brought such stuff. That's very beneficial. You know why? Jesus is not an ancestor.
Okay.
The reason why I say he's not an ancestor is because how can you say someone's an ancestor if... Now, okay, let's say this. Definitions matter. How we use our terms and definitions. For me, based on the context of what we're talking about ancestors based on people that are dead. And then there's also ancestry based on birth.
Let me do this. Let me do this. So, one of the best quotes I love is when you discuss, when you engage someone in discourse, make sure that you define your terms.
Yes.
Let me just put a definition of what is an ancestor is here. I'll put it here so everyone to see. But then clearly define what is an ancestor according to you. Then you'll tell us Jesus is not an ancestor.
All right. When we speak of an ancestor, like we should understand, like we said in terms of terminology, it's important. My ancestry comes from my great-great-grandfather. So I do not really come from Jesus' ancestry in that he was born in Middle East. It's quite different. He's not my ancestor. That's the first thing.
Oh, he's not your ancestor.
From
He could be.
genealogy.
Oh, he could be an ancestor of his people there.
In a way, he can't be because he has no genealogy. He doesn't have children, in physical children.
Oh.
So that's the first.
I've never thought of it that way.
That's first and foremost.
Yes.
Secondly, an ancestor in the typical African
Yes.
perspective
Yes.
paradigm. We speak about a person who's dead who controls your events in life.
Oh.
Jesus can't be that because Jesus Christ, he's the go in the entire world and search the graves. Of
No. That's a good spin.
Muhammad's grave is there.
That's a good spin. That's a good spin.
like all of
because
the graves are there.
because now I understand. So what you are saying is number one, Jesus does not conform to what you are saying.
Yes.
As African people, when they say ancestor, it's someone they have a relationship with when he died. Number two, you're saying because he did not continue his genealogy, the line of ancestry cut with him.
Thank you.
So no one would say he's an ancestor.
Thank
It
you.
makes good point. Now the final one
Yes.
is because he died after 3 days, he rose up. So
He has
he's
not
not
raised.
dead. So he's not an ancestor.
He's not an ancestor.
All right, so-
he defies all these
Okay.
three compartments.
Yes.
He defies them. So in that, Jesus Christ is not an ancestor. I want us to go to something shortly because I liked that you brought someone saying, if we deny ancestors.
Yes.
There, people say, hey, there's this thing where you say God of Abraham, God of Isaac. Say, you Christians pray that. Let me quickly say to people, I do not do that.
Yes.
And while people have been doing that, even
Yes.
Christians who say, hey, the God of
The God of Abraham.
Sometimes even prophets who are alive.
Yes.
Don't do that. Let me show you why. Do you know what?
No, are you afraid to call the people who do it?
No, I'm not afraid.
Okay.
No, I'm
All
not
right,
afraid.
sure.
No, I'm not afraid. Because
Because I know churches who do that.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
a lot of Christian
Yes.
churches who do that. They
So
call it
for example, the churches, the ZCC do it.
Yes.
The International Pentecostal Church of Ntate Modise, they also do it.
Thank you.
Bagashembe, they also do it. I don't know, I can't remember others, but they say they got off, and then they refer to their immediate person in the flesh, of which to me, I see no problem. I'll tell you why I say I see no problem.
All right.
I tell people that if you expect someone to believe that Jesus Christ died and woke up after 3 days because he was a prophet,
Yes,
Muhammad, the same thing, he was a prophet.
that's true.
Shembe,
Don't mind me.
yes,
I'm going for
Ushembe.
verses. Yeah,
If
all
they say Ushembe died and came back, why would you want to doubt that? So that's why I say I don't see a problem when all these churches do it, because I don't see a difference between, for me, I don't see a difference between Jesus and Ushembe. They are both prophets who are no longer with us. That's according to me, and it's different from your definition, and I don't want to encroach on yours, but you can continue.
Okay. Now, there's this thing of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of.
Yes, yes.
You know, which God only calls himself the God of those three people only. He never goes to an extra one. He doesn't call himself the God of Moses.
Who? God?
The entire Bible.
God.
Look at it, the entire Bible. He doesn't call himself the prophet, the God of Moses. He doesn't, which is the greatest prophet of Judaism. He doesn't call himself the God of Moses. The only time a man called
So
God,
wait,
God
so let me do this. I want where God only calls him that, so I can write it, so I can put it here for everyone. Where God in the Bible says so.
It's in the book of Exodus chapter 3.
When
it comes to
Exodus
Abraham, I'm the
3.
God of, he says, I'm the God of, when it comes to this guy, Abraham.
So that's God speaking.
That's God speaking.
Okay.
He says, I'm the God of. Every time he comes to them, he says that. When it comes to Jacob in Deuteronomy, in Genesis 28, he says, I'm the God of Abraham. He's the one who says
yes.
God. But there's no way he says, I'm the God of Moses.
Okay. Let me do this.
Okay.
I want to check Exodus 3 right now on my Bible.
Right.
And then I want to check. Oh man, okay, no, sharp, it's fine. Exodus 3, ne?
Yes.
Okay, verse. Oh, I'll just scroll down the verse.
Go to. Okay, let's begin at 4.
At 4, it says,
yes.
And then the Lord saw and turned aside to see God.
Yes.
So the Lord saw and he turned aside to see God.
Okay, continue.
And he said, draw not neither, hither.
Hither is here.
Oh, it's
Neither
here.
is there.
Put off thy shoes. Ne? Moreover, he said, I'm God of thy father, the God. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of. It always cuts in my Bible. It always cuts. Is it fine? Because I lose track of the way I'm reading. I don't know. From 3
yes, but he goes on to tell him, I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. In that chapter.
Oh, all right. Okay, sir. And Moses said unto God, who am I? Am I should unto blah blah blah. I want to go to the place where he talks about that. Let me see. Okay, but we'll find it and then I'll put it here because
let me search for you so that I don't want to distract this.
Yes,
I have here.
yes.
I just
no, I understand. So in other words,
we went to Exodus stage. We're supposed to be in Exodus 3.
No. Is it 30?
Where are we?
3.
Oh, okay.
It's Exodus 3, verse 34. It's
a different chapter.
Yes, it's Exodus 3 verse.
I hope you're gonna edit this parts out here.
No, don't worry because it's all in yeah, well. So in other words, I want to know where in the Bible God speaks, where in the Bible Jesus speaks, because to me the Bible was written by people. So it means those people.
I like how
yes, it means those people quoted God. You understand where I'm going? So what is the name of the Bible where when Jesus speaks they highlight it in red? What's the version?
King James version.
King James. Okay. Yes. So the King James version, when Jesus speaks, they highlight in red. So when God speaks, what do they?
No, it's only in the New Testament when Jesus speaks.
Okay.
God speaks, no, it's fine. It's just the same.
All right, chap. Yes. So in other words, let me do this. Let me keep this. So explain this part where God speaks about these guys.
Why he says
yes. No, even if you don't find it, we'll find it and then we'll display it for everyone.
I'm glad that you came there. It's verse 6.
Okay.
It's verse 6. Exodus 3 verse 6.
Okay.
And he said, I'm the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face. It's God who calls himself.
Okay, was it at the time where he was at Mount Sinai or what?
That's the one.
Oh, was it when he was going to be shown that tree that was burning?
Yeah.
Oh, that was burning, but it was raw but burning.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, it's fine. So you attribute that quotation from God.
Yes, because he's the one who said it.
Okay.
Why did God say that? God only has a direct covenant with the three of them, not with Moses. Moses is genealogy of these guys.
Yes.
So God says, I'm the God of these guys because God has a covenant with them specifically.
Yes, because this is what I wanted to say. That
so when it comes to children, he has no covenant. So Moses cannot be we cannot say the God of Moses. They cannot say the God of Moses. They can't even back then. Now here's why I want to say. Do you know why God chose these three?
No.
The reason why is because of the number 3. I'm a dream interpreter.
Okay.
Always means God's signature.
Oh.
God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit.
The Holy Trinity.
Yes. So in Abraham, there's the principle of God the Father hidden. In Jacob, in Isaac, there's the principle of God the Son hidden.
Okay.
Now, how do you know that? It's because of in Isaac is the one who's introduced as having a bride in Genesis 24, a bride. Eliezer goes and finds a bride for the son of his master. Do you know what the name Eliezer means? It means a helper, which is the same name that Jesus uses for the Holy Spirit.
Okay. But
why that? Why that? Eliezer is the one who went to find a bride for Isaac. It's the same way today. Jesus went to heaven. Who finds the bride for Jesus, the church today? The wife for Jesus, the church. Who finds the bride? It's the Holy Spirit. So this was a type. So Isaac is a type of who? He's a type of Jesus, while Abraham is a type of who? God the Father. And now when we look into Jacob, we find the work of the Holy Spirit. A man who has sins, who has problems and weaknesses, and God has always got to deal with him. This is the work of sanctification, the work of the Holy Spirit. Okay. So why God calls these people is because these people are a type of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It was a type. In the New Testament, when Jesus comes, he doesn't say the God of Abraham. He says, my Father, my God. Because why? That was the old covenant. In the new covenant, we don't say anymore that God is a God of so-and-so. He's your direct God. He says, after resurrection, I'm going to who? Your God. He says, I'm going to who? Your Father. Your God, your Father. Okay. So the first time he says your Father to us disciples, because now God is our Father.
Okay, so it's you don't know, Christianity is a very confusing one. So the biggest tenet of Christianity is the fact that the agreement, you call it the covenant. What is the actual word?
A covenant is when something is shed in blood, sealed in blood.
So it's an agreement. They so not us. Those three guys and yes, because
that's the old covenant.
Yes, yes. So it was them and the Jews.
Yes, for the Jews. So I like that.
Yes,
but with Abraham, the blessing extends to Gentiles. Go on.
Yes, so it was them who made that covenant. Yes. So it is the agreement between them.
God and them.
The same way you are distancing to say it ends there, it has nothing to do with us. Yes. So why are we, as we speak now, you and I as you speak now, why are we intertwined in a religion that was only for them? The covenant was with the Jews then.
Yeah,
yes.
I like that, but I think you missed my point.
Okay.
I said Abraham represents God the Father, Isaac represents God the Son, the other one, Jacob, represents the Holy Spirit. So I said they were types. So if we only stop in the Old Testament, the New Testament is unexplained.
So
everything that happened in the Old Testament, it actually pointed to the New Testament. Saint Augustine says the Old Testament is the New Testament concealed. The New Testament is the Old Testament explained. So if
say it again.
He says the Old Testament is the New Testament concealed. Hidden.
Yes.
But the New Testament is the Old Testament explained.
Who says so?
Saint Augustine.
Who's Saint Augustine?
Saint Augustine is one of the early church fathers who was studying the Bible. Why does it say that? Why does it say that? You cannot understand Jesus.
Is he in the Bible?
Of the Old Testament. No, he's not in the Bible. He's one of the early church fathers.
So Saint Augustine was not in the Bible, but he tells us what is meant for us to understand the Bible.
What he's saying is true. What he's saying is true. Let me show you. We cannot understand why God said to Moses, the people are dying, take a brass of serpent and lay it, and then everyone who looks upon it will live. Until Jesus comes in the book of John 3, then Jesus begins to explain and say,